urbanization, and living working conditions. The Enclosures Acts led to urbanization and evicted many farmers from their land. These farmers lost their profits and moved to larger cities and towns as a last resort. They strived to find work in the cities and towns, plus live in places they didn't own.
The Great Stink and its causes. The Great Stink was caused by increasing population using the River Thames as a disposal for their waste. In 1858, the sun started to ferment the waste, causing a horrible stench to cover Westminster.
What prompted the changes to clean up the Thames? The effects from the Great Stink on the citizens of Westminster prompted Parliament to act.
Sewage disposal was an environmental improvement. It decreased the effects of illness that was caused by waste being dumped into the people's drinking water.
Historical lesson to be learned. People should not wait to fix a problem until it is too late. People should address the problem and fix it before the problem becomes too severe.
Life during the Industrial Revolution. Working conditions in the factories. They were 14-hour days, cruel discipline, and fines, low wages. Many died from pneumonia, and factory accidents caused many workers to be injured or killed.
Working conditions in mines. Seams were 18 inches high. Accidents often occurred, causing many injuries and deaths. You had to collect what the owner said, or you owed the company what you didn't collect, and were fired if you joined a union.
Conditions of the cities that made life unpleasant were poor housing conditions, cities were polluted by coal smoke, high rents and low wages, human waste covered the streets, and lack of fresh water resulted in people contracting diseases such as typhus and cholera. Reforms of the Industrial Revolution. Strike. A group of employees that stop working and protest until they receive a form of work benefit. Many workers during the Industrial Revolution went on strike for the unfair treatment by their employees. Trade unions. Group of workers in a profession formed to protect workers' rights. Viewed as bad during the Industrial Revolution. Collective bargaining. Bargaining conditions and wages of unemployment to a group of workers. Those who worked during the Industrial Revolution used this as a form of unionizing.
Why work?
Robert Owen and New Lanark. Robert Owen created a well-oiled socialist government just from 4 mills. Surprisingly, his community was a very loving socialist community that grew economically despite many expenses that piled up.
Chronology of child education reforms. In 1833, Parliament passed the Factory Act of 1833 to limit child labor by setting work hour limits. Then passed the Education Law, the 1880 Education Act, which made local school mandatory for children up to 10. The 1918 Education Act, which raised the age of 14. Then in 1944, they raised it to 18. The government also started funding the education system. Other acts during this time were the Health and Morals of Apprentices Act, the Factory Acts, the Factory Act, the Mines Act, and the 10-Hour Act.
That's it.